grammarian come in. Well, thank you, who's ever recording that. I'm going to have our grammarian come on board because I want us all to have an opportunity to use the word of the day. And our grammarian for the day would be Sonia Pons. And I'm going to introduce, I have to do got it. So I'm going to introduce Sonia. And Sonia, take it away and tell us about your role and then share the word of the day so that we can use it as often as possible.
Fantastic. Thank you. And welcome, family, to Southpark Toastmasters. Today, I'm your grammarian, and a grammarian in this particular club is a combined of a grammarian and an odd counter that you would hear in Toastmasters. Some clubs do it separately, but in this club, we do it together. So I will be counting your filler words, your ums, your ahs, your ers, your so's, your buts, and your repeats like you knows and yeah, right. I'm going to be counting those. But this is a safe space. You're not getting graded. It's just for enlightenment. And as your grammarian, I get to offer you the word of the day. And the word of the day is perceptible, and it means to be seen. It's an adjective. It is spelled, I don't know if you guys can see it, because I'm going to put it in the chat. See, I'm in myself. I'm going to count that. It is spelled P-E-R-C-E-P-T-I-B-L-E. Perceptible. And for our Zoom team, I'm going to put that in the chat. As the grammarian, I get to monitor your use of speech. Is it grammatically correct? But now I use Grammarly to write. So I'm going to be looking for enlightening, inspiring words. But if I catch something that Grammarly can say, I'll give you a shout out for that too. But with that said, thank you so much for allowing me to come and join you from Maryland and being your R counter as well as your grammarian. And I'll see you at the end of the meeting. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. That's I don't use the word perceptible very much, so I'll use it in the negative by saying I don't use the word very much. So that'll be my sentence. Now I can check that one off for the day too. We have to have a sense of humor because it adds to our longevity. And with that in mind, I'm going to go on to our next person for the day, and that is our general evaluator. And I'm going to ask our general evaluator, who today is Valencia, that she introduced our other team members and tell us about the role of the general evaluator and then talk about the other roles of our other team members. I do want to say, I notice right now that our speaker for the day has not logged in, so we may or may not have a speaker. So there's an opportunity for anybody who wants to give us spontaneous speech. They're welcome to do that. And we can add, Sonia volunteered, yay, yay. She's like just a great, inspiring person. And it was very perceptible that I saw your hand up there. I don't know if that's a good use of that word. I think I need to go learn this word better. So with that in mind, I'm going to turn it over to Valencia. And Valencia, while you are doing that, if you can find your volunteer to take over for timer for halfway through, that would be appreciated.
Yes, thank you so much. Actually, I'm thinking I may need a volunteer for both general evaluator since it comes at the end of the meeting. I unfortunately had the Sandman come and steal me from the stage and place me in a work meeting at 12:30. So I apologize that I will leave you early today. But I signed up to serve as timer and general evaluator. As timer, I monitor time that we speak in our meeting for both table topics and our scheduled speaker. So our speech today will be 5 to 7 minutes. And actually, I'm using something new today. I don't know how often I'll get the opportunity to be perceptible in our meeting, but to start, here is when the speech starts. At 5 minutes, you get the green. At 6 minutes, the yellow. And 7 minutes, red, with 30 seconds to wrap up. For table topics, when you start speaking, you'll see I am starting your timer right here at the start. 1 minute, green. 1.5 minute, yellow. 2 minutes, red, with 30 seconds to wrap up. And when I am not serving as timer, you'll see our nice, this side, banner for South Park. But is there someone who can fill in for me once I leave the meeting?
I can.
Shamil. All right, thank you. You got both roles?
Sure, why not?
Great, thank
Okay.
you so much. That was
Yay.
easy.
You know, these little perceptible shifts in how we do our meetings, I think I used it right that time, shows that we just go with the flow. It's kind of like a river that's going down and rock gets in the way. It starts a curve and eventually it makes a lake. So good. Thank you for volunteering, Jamil. And now I would like to say that I would like to talk to John. John, you're going to be doing our table topics masters today, and I hope you have a lot of table topics because we're going to give everybody almost an opportunity to do that. So why don't you tell us about table topics?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I do have plenty of questions to ask today, so I hope everybody is really excited. I will ask a question, answer honestly, volunteer if you will. You have about 1 to 2 minutes to speak, and we all can't wait. And I just wanted to make sure that I was audible and perceptible. Thank you so much. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Right. So I'm going to ask regarding the word of the day. I have a question for our word of the day person, and that is this. There's the word perceptible and perceptible. One being able to perceive and see something, and the other one, I think, is the one that means a slight shift and change. Are they different words or are they the same words? Does anybody have any idea?
Poli-sci history major. I have no idea, but we'll take it. We'll take it. We'll take it.
Because I know one is to perceive. I just don't know if there's a difference. I have no idea. So there's always an opportunity to learn, and we're going right back to not having learned helplessness, but what David was talking about, but actually being able to learn things even as we go along as we're doing this meeting. So with that in mind, the next thing that we would do is everybody's been introduced. So now we will have our one speech of the day, and our evaluator, we already talked to the general evaluator. Our evaluator for this speech is David Jones. And Sonia Pons is going to be our spontaneous speaker of the day. And she's going to tell us what her speech is about and how long it's supposed to be and how she's going to inspire us and tie it into perceptible little changes and also life, laughter, and the pursuit of longevity.
Fantastic. That's a mouthful. Thank you so much for that, Carla. My speech today would be a second speech in the Innovative Planning Level 1 Evaluation and Feedback. The purpose of this project is to practice applying feedback served as a speech evaluator during a club meeting. So when I gave this speech in another club last week, they said that I speak really, really fast and I need to slow down. So that was the biggest feedback I received from that. So if you guys will, there's a filler word, I'm gonna mark that down for myself. If you guys can give me some feedback on that, that'd be fantastic. So the feedback I received before is I talk way too fast and sometimes I mumble because of it, because of my vocal variety. With that said, the title of this speech is Can You Hear Me? And the words about this speech is, excuse me, your voice is your most valuable asset, but it's not powerful unless someone can hear you. And it's a 5 to 7 speech. And again, it's in Innovative Planning Level 1. It's the second speech in Evaluation and Feedback. All right, here we go. Scene. The tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it. Does it make a sound? Family, if you've been in a science class with a very friendly teacher that loves debate, you've heard this question before. Or maybe you were at a dinner party with people who do not like reality TV shows or like to play board games. And you've heard this debate go on and on and on, an endless circle of chatter about our sensations, maybe sound waves, vibrations, or even the anatomy of our ears. But today, I want us to look at it from a social science perspective. How presumptuous is it of us to assume that the only people we can see and hear are the only ones that are around us? Family, let's be real. There is always, and I mean, there is always people who are watching. And oftentimes, those silent, step, perceptible individuals are the ones that have the most impactful plays on your life. And you've heard me say this before, and I'll say it again. Every breath you take is a blessing. And that breath is an opportunity to change the trajectory of your life and someone else's. Therefore, I want to ask you this question. We're close, family. Let me ask you this question. How do you use your breath? And because you use your breath, how is it projecting your voice? There's a reason why vocal coaches and drama coaches, band directors, doctors, therapists, kindergarten teachers, elementary school teachers, sometimes even our family members, most our mamas and daddies, teach us breathing techniques to allow us to focus in the moment, to control our interactions in the most crucial situations. We've heard it all before. It's sit with me, look at me, take a deep breath. In and out. Those role models of intention were standing in the gap for you because they know the next breath you take, the next vibration of your vocal cords will have an impact on your life and someone else's. Family and Toastmasters, we don't necessarily teach breathing techniques. Unless it's an elective at a TLI, we call that the Toastmasters Leadership Institute, or maybe we teach it at a spring conference, the place where we get together at the end of the year to celebrate our achievements and have the big international speech contest. We may not teach breathing techniques, but I'll tell you this, we teach the power of the collective community, that collective breath that breeds expectations, it breeds intention, it breeds opportunities and encouragement into each and every club member. Our tag in Toastmasters is we are where leaders are made. And we know from our civics classes, whether it's here in the US or anywhere abroad, that leaders are never, ever silent. And though they may cater to a certain population, they know that it requires a coalition of different groups in order to get something done. Those groups can be the people that they don't necessarily hang out with, but they know that they're present in their meetings and their events. And they know that they're expected to understand their position in order to be considerate of either the silent majority and sometimes the silent minority. Someone is always listening. Someone's always watching. And they're expecting you to pay attention. Now, how are you, my fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, how are you using your breath? And what are the vocal musings of its projection? No one is here by happenstance. Every Toastmaster and every Toastmasters guest has a why when they come in this environment. And in Toastmasters, we provide a safe space for you to do projects and speeches. And those projects and speeches, well, what do? They require you to have thoughtful reflection. It gives you daring yet achievable stretch assignments. We allow you to collaborate in a team environment. We provide dynamic leadership and various leadership opportunities at every level, with a firm commitment to also having a whole lot of fun. If you didn't know this, Toastmasters International is 98-year-old organization. And for that entire trajectory of the Toastmasters family year, we are dedicated to partnering with you and championing and celebrating your why. Whether it's personal, professional, or even community-based, we know that your why is the best reflection of you. Maybe you're an advocate in your community, a forever learner, a career achiever, a caregiver for a family member, or maybe you're this up and coming business mogul, wherever you are, Toastmasters is the place where you can refine that why, that intention that will change the world. So don't waste the opportunity to spotlight and elevate your why in Toastmasters. Now, let me be honest, Toastmasters is like family. And sometimes you don't always get along with your family. That's natural. And sometimes we feel like family doesn't see us. But trust me when I tell you this, the ones who are supposed to see you and hear you, they do. And they value you. So I'm going to ask you to trust the process, whether you old school Toastmaster, vintage or seasoned, whether you're a brand new Toastmaster or you're a visitor in the room. I want you to use your breath and use your voice, even when you don't think it's possible. I want you to trust the process. I want you to do it anyway. Because trust me, and I keep saying trust because I want you to lean in with me. Someone is listening and they want to hear your voice, my fellow Toastmasters.
Really good. Really excellent. I know that David Jones is going to evaluate you, but I walked away with that idea of the power of the collective community and breathing together. And it ties in with this concept of life, laughter, and the pursuit of longevity, because we all know that as we breathe and we consciously and mindfully breathe, that there's studies that have shown that it helps to extend our lives. And I wanted to talk, I had mentioned about this Chris Helmsworth documentary, Limitless, about all these ways that he stressed his body. One of the things they did talk about there is de-stressing, and humor is a way of de-stressing. And that tied into, as I said, this book that my cousin put out, Dr. Michael Miller. The book is called Heal Your Heart. And it talked about stress and other negative emotions that account for at least 25% of heart attacks. And obviously, you have a heart attack, it's going to limit your longevity. And in the book, it tells you all these things to do right. But then it also says, eating certain foods, listening to kinds of music, and increasing the amount of time you spend laughing can promote health, heart, and overall positive well-being and longevity. So there's an actor telling us about humor, and there is a doctor telling us about humor. And now I'm going to go on, I'm going to talk to you real quickly about the Mayo Clinic telling us about humor. The Mayo Clinic says, a good sense of humor can't cure all ailments, but data is mounting about the positive things humor and laughter can do. So let me just give you the list. I'm not going to go into details because then we're going to turn over to our table topics master. But it can stimulate many organs. It enhances laughter, increases the amount of oxygen that goes in your body, and therefore it helps your organs. It activates and relieves your stress response. And so having a good laugh will help to increase your endorphins, and that helps you a lot. It soothes tension. Long-term effects of laughter, it improves your immune system. So if you have humor in your life, it's going to improve your immune system. It will help to relieve pain. It will increase your personal satisfaction, and it'll improve your mood. And all those things will contribute to your longevity. So with that in mind, that's the next thing I would like you to know. I am going to have a call to action at the end of this, but I'm going to now turn it over to John O'Connor, who is our table topics master. And John, I'll remind you, and David, you're in the room, so correct me. We have Tim, Jake, and David in the room. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so as you are having volunteers and voluntold, it's a little hard to see the people in the room, but I want to make sure you're aware of them. And we have several semi-new or new people on the call. So those are good people to give an opportunity if they would like to participate in table topics. And with that, I will turn it over to you, John O'Connor, our table topics master for the day.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I appreciate it. Good afternoon, everybody. Do we have any volunteers for our impromptu speaking portion of the meeting today? Any volunteers to get us started at all? Anybody in the room or on the screen?
Got two in the room that want to do it.
Excellent. Excellent.
First.
Okay.
Who would like to go first?
It'd be Tim.
Tim, how are you?
Doing fantastic. How about you?
Excellent. Excellent, Tim. Thank you. Tim, as a visitor, how would you advise someone to attend their first Toastmasters meeting?
Just start talking now.
Okay.
Oops, I think it's not plugged.
Did I unplug it?
It's on.
Oh, shoot.
That's all right.
You unplug something.
There we go. Yeah. Then you start. Come to you.
Oh, all right.
High tech.
Okay.
Good to see you again,
I'm
Tim.
just- You see me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Can you repeat the question one more time, please, Jeff?
absolutely. And this is a perfect question for you. How would you advise someone to attend their first Toastmasters meeting? So you've joined us a couple of times. What attracted you? Keep that in mind. So if you were talking to someone over a cup of coffee and you were trying to convince them to come maybe visit us, how would you advise them to attend their first Toastmasters meeting?
Okay. Well, thanks for that question. The only way I can answer that question to you and to the group is the way that I came about Toastmasters. I'm in sales and I sell chemicals, pool chemicals in the mid-Atlantic region. We're based out of Fort Lauderdale. We do sell around the world. And I was at a sales meeting with our entire sales force. And my general manager said, folks, I'd like you to join Toastmasters. I did this back in the early 2000s in the Virginia Beach area. I thought it was very beneficial to me. I got up and spoke in front of people, impromptu speeches. It was very perceptible. What I mean by that is the change of the light or the mode of the group. So he suggested I come. So I did about 4 weeks ago. And since I've been here, I've been trying to work on my habits to change, slowing down, not using filling words, and also keeping the attention of the group. I fail and I succeed. But at the end of the day, as long as you succeed, you're moving forward. So when I would tell someone, if I saw them in a restaurant or a bar and they started to talk to me rambling on, I said very nicely, why don't you come with me to a meeting? I think this could help you in your job if you're a foreman, you're a management, to communicate with your people better and be more productive in your industry. I'll wait to see what his answer is. He may throw a beer at me or a plate of food, but then he might also shake my hand and say, thank you for that. I'm going to join you next week. That's what I have to say.
Thank you so much, Tim. Excellent. Do we have our next volunteer?
I think Jake is here. He's gonna step up to the.
Jake.
I'll fix you.
I hope it's the same Jake. Yes, it is.
Hey, John.
Good to see you, buddy. Awesome, Jake. Jake, so today's theme, pursuit of longevity. Tying into longevity is personal goals. I know we all have personal goals here, especially for 2023. We all have a lot of big ones. So how does Toastmasters tie into your personal goals for 2023? Just give me maybe one or two examples of how Toastmasters can potentially help you achieve some of your goals in 2023.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. You really set me up perfectly for that question. John, a friend of mine, actually does know this, but most of you probably don't know that what I do for a living is I'm a coach and I'm a consultant. I help business people get in front of more people. I decided that for 2023, my goal was actually going to be less coaching and consulting and my anticipation is actually to speak on stages more. I'm hoping to get in front of at least 10,000 people in 2023 cumulatively. That being said, I came to Toastmasters with that goal in mind, knowing that I would be able to get objective feedback and criticism, not somebody that just pats you on the back and says, hey, you did a great job. It was fantastic hearing you speak. I loved your information. I want to know the things that are going to make me a better speaker. And that was realistically the reason that I was drawn to Toastmasters. So setting those goals, I think having that clear and measurable SMART goal, like reaching in front of 10,000 people, is one of the things that's very important. But also being able to know what you expect to get out of everything. When I'm speaking on stage, I'm not anticipating getting more coaching and consulting clients. I simply want to talk to people and spread the information that I have. So John, to answer your questions, I think the two goals that I have for 2023 is to become a better speaker and simply spread the message that I have about prospecting. And if one of the ways I can do that is through Toastmasters, I'll be here every week. Thank you.
Awesome. Great answer, Jay. Thank you. Any volunteers for another question? Jasmeet, good to see you again, Jasmeet. How are you today?
I'm good, John. Good to see you too.
Good to see you again. So Jasmeet, right now, the famous World Cup is on. It is happening. It has reached the semi-final stage, and there is 4 countries, 4 nations left. I'm going to list them in a second, but the question, Jasmeet, is who would you like to win this World Cup and why? The 4 nations are Argentina, Croatia, France, and Morocco. Take it away, Jasmeet.
Thanks for the question, Mr. Table Topic. And to be honest with you, I am not a big sports fan, or I'm not following the World Cup. To answer your question, I would say it does not matter to me which of the country wins. As long as they play fair, they play well, and the audience and spectators enjoy the game, and they play to the best abilities. So honestly, it does not matter to me which of the countries win. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasmeet. Excellent. And that's just a great example of, we don't necessarily have to have an exact answer or anything. It's how we speak. It's how we get back and respond, because I don't know about you folks, but I have those instances quite a lot throughout the week where I don't know what to say or how to respond. So Jasmeet, excellent, excellent job. Is there any other takers for one final question? Tahila, great to see you again. How you doing?
Really well, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. Tahila, so reaching the end of the year, is there something that comes to mind that you've tried new this year that you're so proud of, or that you would like to continue next year? Or maybe if there is a challenge that you've overcome or a goal for this year that you're proud of? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Sure, I love that question. I do have an answer of something that I do want to share that I'm really proud of this year. And that's demonstrating gratitude, just really taking every moment to be appreciative of everything, regardless of how small it might be, how imperceptible it might be, and really just being appreciative of situations I find myself in. And if it's a situation that's less pleasant, trying to find the lesson from that and being grateful for the lesson, even if I don't necessarily like how the lesson came about. And then, of course, when things are going really, really well, just being grateful for that. And so that was a change that I wanted to make this year. And I think that it's had a perceptible impact on how my life has continued, that, paying attention to small things and making time to appreciate everything, you start to notice more and more things to be appreciative of. And so I was going to say spiral, but that seems negative. It like snowballs into a more positive effect. So that's something that I'm really proud of, and that I hope to be able to continue into the next year.
Love it, Tahila. Thank you so much. And great use of the word of the day, of course. Madam Toastmaster, I hand it back to you, and thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, John. Do you happen to have one more question there, or can you think of one spontaneously? Because I think Ronki would like an opportunity to speak.
Of course.
And so if not, I'll throw one in, but I'm pretty sure you can come up with a good one. You've been doing really good so far.
Okay. Ronki, good to see you again, my friend. So, Ronki, the question is, what is your number one piece of advice for someone who has no clue what they would want to do for a living in the future? I had this problem when I was about 17. So the question again, what is your number one advice for someone who has no clue what they would want to do for a living in the future?
Thank you, Table Topic Master.
You're welcome.
One piece of advice that I would give to someone if they had no clue on what they wanted to do with their lives or career-wise, I would tell them to examine their strengths, the things that come to them naturally, the thing that they would do if they would not receive compensation for it, but would still be very happy to do it. And I would encourage them to go into that direction, to explore careers or create a career for themselves in that area. I would also encourage them to, after they've done that, to find a mentor or someone who's already went the path that they want to go, and to attach themselves with a mentor early on and actually listen and do the work that the mentor tells them to do. I know that can be challenging at times, but to actually really listen and focus, and more than anything, just to follow their heart, follow their passion, and allow that to lead them. And I believe that one will be successful if they do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronki. Great answer. Where were you when I was 17? That's exactly what I needed to hear.
I did.
Thank you. Madam Toastmaster, back to you.
Thank you, John. That was an excellent question to end on. It brought a smile to all of our faces. And I was writing down, Ronki, as you were speaking, I said, why didn't I attach myself to a mentor and listen to them when I was growing up? And the other thing I wrote is, I'm still clueless as to what I want to do for a career. And I've already retired a couple times. So I just think it's a very well thought out answer. So thank you for that. I'm going to, before we go on to our next part, I want to do a call to action for everybody to talk about if you want longevity in your life, to increase the humor in your life. And so there are suggestions for how to do this. And we're going to practice one here today, but let me give you some that you can practice not here. Put humor on your horizon. Find a few things that make you laugh. Comic strips, pictures, movies, and look at them regularly and laugh. Laugh, and the world laughs with you. Find a way to laugh at your own situations and the things that sort of self-deprecating or things that you do, and not take things so hard, but put a smile on your face and laugh about them. You could try laughing yoga, where people practice laughing together. I will not embarrass all of us and have us do that today, because I have something else we're going to do together. Share a laugh. Be sure to smile at people, tell someone a joke every day, or find a way to share your humor, because just like breathing together helps, sharing your humor helps. Go research knock-knock jokes, because they are so stupid you cannot help but laugh if you hear some of those knock-knock jokes. Also, know what isn't funny. Being unkind and cruel is not funny at the expense of other people, maybe even at the expense of yourself. It does create laughter sometimes, but you want to avoid that. And with that in mind, I'm going to have us all together just sit, and I'm going to tell us what we're going to do to bring laughter into our lives, and I'm going to add, let's say, 2 minutes to your life by doing this, okay? You're just going to take the corners of your mouth. It's hard for me to do this, and smile with them. And then, even if it feels forced, I want to see everybody giving a big smile. I'm watching you guys, okay? And then take a breath, unsmile, If you can't unsmile, it's really hard for me. And feel the difference from when you were smiling and when you were unsmiling. Notice the space in between. And you can all know that I've just added maybe 2 minutes to your life. And with that, we're going to now go on to the next part of our meeting, which is I'm going to turn it over to the general evaluator, who is now Jamil, who will introduce our evaluator for our one speech. And then we'll turn it over to the timer and the grammarian for their reports. Take it away, Jamil. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Carla, Madam Table Topics and Madam Toastmaster. Sorry about that. John was our Table Topics Master and did an amazing job with that. We are going to go ahead and hear our evaluation. I just love the creativity of the club. You hear words like unsmile. I didn't know that was a word, but now I know. I can incorporate that into my vernacular. So let's go ahead and get our verbal evaluation from our evaluator, which is going to be David Jones. Y'all give David a hand as he makes his way to the stage.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. And thank you, Sonia. I believe this is the first time I've evaluated Sonia, and her speech was very perceptible. Many of my senses got into her speech. It was a masterful speech, I believe. And your first concern was whether your pace was good or not, and it was right on point. You had some good pauses. You didn't go too fast. Therefore, doing it a second time helped you out a lot. Now, you started by asking a question, and it's one that we've all heard before and can relate to. Therefore, you engage the audience by drawing us in with that question. Your hand gestures were great. You were tapping on your ear when you were talking about listening, which is a good anchor for the audience. Whenever you're talking about something, if you can do exactly what you're saying, that's a good way to do it. And then you did words, which is a great technique to get people to remember it. You said always a couple of times, and this emphasizes what you want us to remember. And then the word change, you drew it out. And like change, which is another great technique, which made us all think, why is she saying it that way? And it kind of makes us pay attention to what you were saying at that point in time. And even your word projecting, when you were talking about projecting, you were projecting it even louder to create emphasis there. And of course, your speech was about Toastmasters, which is always my favorite subject. And it was about breathing. And you did a call to action. It was kind of subtle, but your call to action was to trust the process. Trust the process, the Toastmaster, which is what I believe totally is going to come week after week, and then eventually will happen. Now, room for improvement, I only found one little thing. You were talking about how breathing improves our speaking. I thought you were going to give us a tip. Show us how to do it. Give us an example. That would have been beneficial to everybody involved. And finally, your final comment, I believe, was someone is listening and wants to hear your voice. And I think that's an important part of Toastmasters, because we're often scared that people will judge us or boo us when we're speaking. But if somebody's spending their time to listen to you speak, they want you to do well. They want to gain information. So I thought that was a great closing to your speech. And if you send me your little form to my email, I would be happy to fill it out and send it to you. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Great job. Thank you for that evaluation. And that's part of Toastmasters. You get a chance to hear the verbal evaluation, to hear some of your blind spots, some areas for improvement, and also some of the things you did well. So many times we go through the course of a week and we hear about all the things that we did wrong, but we don't hear the things that we did well from people. So that's always good, positive reinforcement. But we also get that as written evaluation too for our prepared speeches. So thank you for that. All right, we are going to also look at our grammarian report for the day, the C perceptible. I was doing so good. I had so many different ways to work it in, but I'm struggling right now, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm going to pass it over to our grammarian. How do we do, Sonia?
You guys did fantastic in terms of using the word of the day. Carly used it 5 times, John 1 time, me 1 time, Tim 1 time, Tahira, I hope I'm saying that right. Tahila, how do you say her name? That's correct. She did it twice, and David did it one time, and so did Jamil. So you guys did a fantastic, knocked it out of the park when it came to that. Talking about our odd counter report, our love word in this club is so, because we're taught that it can be a transitional phrase in a sentence. I think that our English teachers messed us up with that. But we use so today 5 times. We use like 1 time. I did twice, and we had an but other than that, fantastic job. Can I say our guests? No filler words at all. Fantastic, fantastic job to our guests in the room, on screen, and in the room. Now, I told you guys I'm not a grammar person, so I'm looking at positive words, and the words that you guys use today really fed into our theme and into what Toastmasters is all about. So I want to amplify those words. Our guest talked about keeping the attention of the group. Toastmasters teaches us to keep the attention of the group. Another guest talked about anticipation, objectable feedback. That is what Toastmasters builds. It builds us anticipation, but it also, we get feedback. How did we do? We also talked about having clear, measurable, smart goals. Toastmasters is all about that, setting a goal for your why and going for it and in a safe space of accountability partners. We also talked about spreading the message and spreading the word. Yes, your why is important. Spread that message, spread the word. But we also play well and we live well here in Toastmasters. I heard that as well. We demonstrated being thankful. We're thankful to be here today. Anybody could be anywhere in the world and you're with us today, and we're thankful for that. We also talked about listening to ourselves. We also talked about highlighting our strengths, examining our strengths. Fantastic. And being an anchor for an audience. We need to be there for our audience. Toastmasters is a gift that we give ourselves, but when we it's not elocution. When we project our why, that's a gift. Your why is a gift. I'm Christian, so I'm saying my God gave you, but your higher power, whoever you believe in, gave you that gift to give to the world. And in Toastmasters, we amplify that. So thank you for using powerful words that amplifies the spirit of Toastmasters. And thank you guys for using a lot of filler words. And thank you for using the word perceptible. Fantastic. You were all seen today and you were all heard. We did the job. We did job well done. You understood the assignment. And with that, I'll end my grammarian report.
Thank you so much. Awesome. Anybody can see that. No, I can't say see. It's perceptible, Sonia, that you have a way with words. Yes, great job with that. I can't say the definition. I have to actually say the word. Y'all won't give me credit for it. Plus, you just gave the report. I digress. I lost today. Okay, let's move right along into our timers report. Let's go down the list here. Sonia, for your prepared speech, 5 to 7 minutes. You had 7 minutes and 7 seconds, which is qualified in a speech competition because there is a 30-second grace period. So great job with that. For our table topics, Tim, you qualified with 1 minute, 56 seconds. Great job. Jasmeet, you had 1 minute and 20. I'm sorry, Jake was next. Jake was next. He had 1 minute and 27 seconds. Jasmeet, you answered the question. You were just under, you were at 42 seconds. So you want to try to go for the green. So elaborate. It's a tip in Toastmasters. Once you answer the question, if you don't see green yet, let's see. Embellish on the same thing that you just said. Summarize what you just said. These are just a few tips and tricks to kind of go for the green, and to also, outside of Toastmasters, after you've answered the question, you can always summarize what you just said too. Unless it's just like a yes or no question. You want ketchup on your hot dog? No. Okay, answer that. So, but those are just some examples on how to, in the Toastmaster setting, to elaborate on your response. But great job though. Thank you for volunteering. Tahila, 1 minute and 12 seconds. And you also worked in the word of the day, perceptible. Great job. And Ron K. Y'all do know that her name is pronounced Ron K, right? So she's nice and sweet, but she might reach through the screen or, choke you out if she's in person. You do it too much. Ron K, you qualified with 1 minute and 16 seconds. So great job on your table topics as well. And David, for your evaluation, you were at 2 minutes, 16 seconds. So great job. All right, that's going to conclude our timer report. So good job, everyone, on our time. All right, I'll pass back to our general evaluator, which is me. So I keep talking for a little bit more. I get to stay perceptible here on the call and audible, if you will. All right, for our general evaluator is not a word. It's not. Evaluator is a word. For our general evaluator report, I'll talk about our meeting. Some of the things that we did well, we got a chance to all witness it. Carla, great job being our Toastmaster. I think you're getting very comfortable in leading us through our meetings and also coming up with creative content that adds value to the meeting and forcing us to smile and then teaching us how to unsmile. Just great job with that. John, thank you for the table topics, very creative. And these are the fun type things to where nobody wants to go to another boring meeting. Some of us are in corporate settings. Some of us just listen to people talk and want. Nobody wants to do that. So thank you for your creativity. For improving, I would just say for us to continue to look to do one of the things that I'm planning on doing is do more prepared speeches. Go ahead and find it in whatever path that you've selected. Go ahead and get started. If it's your first speech, it's going to be an icebreaker speech. The icebreaker speech is designed to go ahead and get things flowing. So it's going to be simple. It's going to be about yourself. Anybody can talk about themselves. Nobody knows you better than you. So you're just going to do an icebreaker speech from 4 to 6 minutes. Very easy. And if you need any help with that, we have just kind of finalized our mentor program. So feel free to reach out if you want somebody to kind of help. Hey, I think I got my speech together, but I'd like to bounce it off someone. We have several people who would be happy to guide with that. But if you are not a newbie, you've been around for a little while, let's go ahead and get our prepared speeches done. So that's my feedback. That's our feedback. I always tell people Toastmasters is kind of like a bank account. You don't put nothing in, you don't get nothing out. So, all right. That was another love word for today. So I added that to the list, but that's going to conclude my general evaluation. And for announcements, I just have one of the things that I want to keep on the radar. And talking about prepared speeches, we are going to have a speech contest coming up here in a couple weeks. So if you want to go ahead and get your wheels turning, get some practice, get some reps in before the speech contest, now would be a great time to do that. And we'll get a chance to get better and better as prepared speakers. Now, with the holidays coming up, we do have 2 weeks, 2 Mondays that we will not be meeting. So the Monday after Christmas, which is the 26th, y'all still going to be hungover from Christmas or the holiday, however you want to say that. So we won't be meeting that Monday. And then the following Monday after New Year's, I already know y'all are going to be somewhere in the bed somewhere like, I don't even remember yesterday. But we won't be meeting the 2nd either. So no meeting on 12/26, no meeting on 1/2, January 2nd. Okay, we good? Excellent. All right. Also, I want to make sure I give a shout out to our sister club, Queen City Toastmasters. They also meet on Tuesday nights. So if for some reason you're not able to make it to this particular meeting at 12, Queen City Toastmasters meets on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. So that's also an option for the members here. Once you join Southpark Toastmasters, you have the benefit of either or. All right. Good deal. I believe that's all the announcements I have. I want to make sure anything from our officers. Am I missing anything? Anything?
Hi, this is Sonia. I want to give a shout out. If you guys get the email from District 37, there's a couple of us that got a triple crown shout out. Shout out to Valencia. She's not here. She got a triple crown. David's in the room. He got a triple crown. That's in Toastmasters when you earn 3 educational awards in 1 year. And Sonia got a triple crown. So I want to give a shout out to those individuals. Also, if you're a paid Toastmaster, you got an email from Toastmaster International, Yodely, the speech analysis software that's free of charge to test our ums and our ahs and to they have some games in there for you guys. That is live. So just go to Toastmasters International, go log into your website. On your homepage, you will have a link to grab your Yodely. It's pretty fun. I have learned that my love words are so unjust. And did I not demonstrate that today? So Yodely is on point. So please make sure you're taking advantage of all the free, interesting things that Toastmasters has to offer. So congratulations to our Triple Crown. And get your Yodely subscription up and running. It's free of charge. You pay for it. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Okay, Jamil, may I wrap up? Are you done?
You may have at it.
Okay. So I wanted to, first of all, Jamil, thank you for all the stuff you did. Oops, I see you have one more thing you want to mention too. You just went.
I thought I saw Ronke raise her finger for a second. Did you have anything, Ronke? Nope, just reaching for the drink. Okay.
Yes.
Also,
All
Lauren.
right, well, cheers. Getting ready for the new year.
David has one, Carla.
Okay, David.
First of all, Sonia, you said I'm a Triple Crown. I didn't know. Is that somewhere?
It is. It's in the email that came out. So yeah, you're a Triple Crown winner. You're the first one on the list.
All right, I'll have to look at that. Thank you. I just want to mention, you mentioned Queen City is the sister club. It's a long way away, but I wanted you to put it in your calendar to be there or on Zoom, Sonia, if you'll like it. February 28th, Queen City always has guest speakers, and we're going to have County Commissioner Lee Altman there. She's going to talk about public service, how you can become involved in politics, whether it is school board or county commissioners. So she has just started her second term as county commissioner here in Mecklenburg, and she'll be there as our guest speaker on 2/28. So it'll be nice to hear from a sitting county commissioner.
Thank you. And David, thank you. And be sure to remind us about that on a regular basis. And at some point, maybe we'll figure out how to put it on our front page so people will see that, you know, at the end of January, February, so they'll know. I wanted to wrap this up by saying that I think besides language and awe counters, we should do smile counters. One day we should just see how many smiles we have to see, because laughter is contagious and it forms social bonds. So the more smiles, the more humor we have together, the stronger our social bonds. And that's Toastmaster helps to promote that sense of community. And I think that that's important. And we often do smile and have a good sense of, you know, funny things happen here. Maybe not intentionally, but we still laugh at them. That's the first thing. The second thing is that laughter is one of those things that forms brain connectivities, because you have all different types of laughter. I'm not going to go through the list, but there's 25 different types of laughter that are identified, like slapstick, self-deprecating, the juvenile, you know, potty pee-pee jokes. There's a whole bunch of different things that ignite little parts of our brain. If you want to read about the science of it, you go for it. So I wanted to tell you that because I think that Toastmasters really is a place where we unintentionally or intentionally help to promote our longevity. We don't just help to learn to be better speakers and share ideas and stories, but we also are promoting our longevity. And the last thing I do want to, I'm going to end on a somewhat dry note, but I wanted to tell you that the statistics are out. A study out of Japan studied 1,152 subjects who were 40 years or older. They participated in annual health checkups, which included describing how often they thought they experienced humor or laughter. And at the end of that study, it was 5.4 years long. 257 subjects had died. So I guess they didn't do their final reports. And 138 subjects had experienced cardiovascular events. But what's most important is that people who had more laughter and those sorts of things had a reduced amount of mortality and cardiovascular disease. And that was a very extensive longitudinal study with 17,000 odd people that were over 40 years old. So it's not just about enjoying laughter. It's not just about all the other things that we can do that are healthy. As you think of your New Year's resolutions, as we wrap up at 1 o'clock, yes, you can eat better. Yes, you can exercise better. Yes, we should absolutely be more grateful. Thank you for that. There's all sorts of things we can do. Let's all add having more humor intentionally in our lives. And with that, I will say thank you all very much. And do we have any volunteers? Our last meeting for this year is next week. Do we have anybody who has signed up or volunteered yet to be Toastmaster? Think about it. Please, for the new people who are on the team, take a chance. Sign up for table topics if you're comfortable. Sign up for grammarian. Sign up for a timer role if you need help in learning how to do any of them. Evaluator. I just started this a little bit over a year ago. We all started out new. I think Jamil said it. To grow from this, need to participate. We're happy to have everybody enjoying it and learning from it. At some point, it may take you 2 more months. It may take you 1 week. It may take you 6 months. We look forward to when you will take on a role and become a more active member in that way of this team. With that in mind, happy whatever, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
See, Jamil, do you